What's up, Desktopers? Xavier Wills here for Desktop Bodybuilding, and today I'm joined by Australia's newest IFBB Pro Bodybuilder, Brad Dwight. Mate, how you doing? You just won your pro card over the weekend. I imagine it's got to feel pretty surreal for you.
Mate, I'm still trying to let it sink in, still trying to believe it myself, man. It is very surreal, very, very surreal indeed.
Absolutely. And going into that contest as well, there was, talk around a guy called Mike Pearson from Australia, obviously yourself, Ariel Denico. There's a bunch of guys that were sort of contenders, but there's no clear standout where you're going in saying, okay, it's definitely going to be this guy, definitely going to be this guy. So I suppose that made it probably more satisfying to actually get that win and win your pro card. Traditionally, obviously, it'd be the Arnold Classic normally, but it was obviously, just, I suppose, set as a pro qualifier. Was that what it was called, the pro qualifier, or?
Yeah, I think it was sort of marketed as a season A nationals / pro qualifier without the Arnold festival attached, obviously with the travel restrictions and being no pro shows able to happen, not really worth it. So yeah, just an amateur nationals for everyone here in Australia to compete in. So yeah, it was great for Tony to put that on.
Absolutely. And you've got a fantastic physique. And I think I even said as much pretty much after you competed last year in the Arnold Classic. You won your class there. I think it was the under 100 kilos. Is that right?
That's right. I won the heavyweight class there and went up against now IFBB Pro Christian Caldwell in the overall. He obviously took that last year. I came back just trying to, went back home and wanted to make some improvements. Wasn't expecting to turn pro, just wanted to win the class again this year. And that was going to be satisfying enough just to win the class and beat my good friend Ariel, who's also from Canberra. That would have been a big feat in itself. And, walking over the pro card was just a crazy bonus.
Yep. And going into that contest as well, like, what was your mindset? Like, were you going in there thinking I can win my pro card? Were you going in there thinking I will win my pro card? Like, what was sort of your mindset?
No, not at all. Like I said, my whole goal this year, I've always had this like big goal of being an IFBB pro, and then smaller goals that I'd sort of set myself on the way to becoming one, which sort of like, so win a class at a state title, win a class at a national level. I honestly set myself a realistic goal to turn pro by 30. I'm 27. I just achieved way before I thought I was going to. And yeah, that's why I still can't believe it sinking in.
Absolutely. 27 is like a reasonably young age to win a pro card, because you used to see back in like the early 90s, you'd see guys like, Lee Priest, you'd see guys like Sean Ray, a lot of guys getting their pro card really young, and then almost went the opposite where guys are getting their pro card when they're like nearly 40. So you've still got your pro card pretty young and have plenty of years to obviously, grow into your physique and get even bigger, because obviously being a pro, you probably need to add a little bit more muscle to be competitive at that top level. Now, how much muscle do you think you need to add on top of your physique to be, I suppose, competitive in just say a standard pro show, something like the Indy Pro or something like that, to get like top 5?
To get top 5, man, big respect to all the guys that are competing in the pro leagues now. So to be competitive with those guys, I'd have to put on at least 10, maybe 15 over the years of muscle, but hopefully I'll debut with another maybe 5 or 6 kilos of tissue and be competitive and just keep coming in at my best and keep trying to improve and climb the ranks, and we'll see where we get to. But yeah, I'm not sure how much muscle I'm going to need. I've never stood next to an IFBB pro yet. I haven't been compared to one yet. So until I see some stage shots of what I look like next to some of the guys that have been already doing it for a while, then I'll know how much mass I need to put on. But I'm thinking it's going to be a lot, man. I'm really sort of shaking in my boots to get on that pro stage. Really, yeah.
Well, you got guys, obviously, like, you're only 27 years of age. You got guys like Mark Hector in the pro league, who, when I actually watched a video of him, I did a video yesterday and I did some editing, and he's actually in the video, and you can really see, I suppose, he's standing next to James Hollingshead. There was a huge size discrepancy there, but I think he's got such good shape that really carries him. And I think he even got a 3rd place last year. So I suppose if you sort of model yourself off him a little bit and go, okay, I'm going to add a bit more muscle, be his size or maybe a little bit bigger, and then you can go, okay, well, you can sort of see that you might not be as big as some of the guys, but you got maybe nicer shape, smaller waist, whatever. So, and you got a kind of physique that, is aesthetically pleasing, and that, you might not need to be as some guys. So that should work pretty well.
Oh yeah, obviously. I weighed in for this show at 96 kilos. So I'm not sure what that is in pounds for the American viewers, but Big Mike weighed in at 117, I believe, in the super heavy. So I beat a guy with 20 kilos more lean muscle tissue, and Mike was not out of shape. He was crispy, man. He was looking great. So it's not like he came
about 211 pounds. 96 kilos is about 211. So
there you go. So I'm still in the 212. I'd love to, with my height, I'd love to compete as an open bodybuilder. I don't think I'd be competitive at 212 with monsters like Ashkanani and our boy Aaron Polite's down here, an Aussie boy. And yeah, I couldn't hang with the 212. I'm just too tall. I look like a giraffe in that division, so I've definitely got to put on some size.
For sure. Like the way you looked, I suppose, like at your winning your pro card, you could be competitive with some guys in the 212 and beat some guys and stuff, but probably not those top tier guys, you know, but are just so thickly muscled. So
exactly right, man. Exactly.
Have you had any thoughts? Obviously, you only won it yesterday, the day before, whenever it was. Have you had any thoughts about where you want to make your pro debut, or is that just something that you're just going to wait a little bit to think about and then sort of make a plan of attack?
Yeah, well, obviously, I think it'd be cool to debut in front of the home crowd just to get that, you know, just to get the nerves out of the way and do it in front of, you know, have mum and dad in the crowd and all that for the first one, you know, just to make it a nice sort of experience for the first pro show on home soil. So hopefully I can do whatever Tony's putting on next, and hopefully I can be ready by that time and be looking the goods to do the local show. And then maybe jet set overseas. I think we spoke earlier. I don't even have a passport. I've never been overseas yet, so I've got a lot to organise before I can do a pro show. I've never been overseas, never travelled anywhere outside of Australia, so it's all new to me, man.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see, man, the happiness on your face, like when you're talking about it, because I imagine it's a pretty surreal feeling. Like I've got sort of, you know, obviously my men's physique, I've got the same sort of goals. I want to turn pro and, you know, eventually travel overseas. And obviously, you know, my main love is bodybuilding. So it's like, I would love to do bodybuilding and be in your position and go that sort of thing. But my genetics are pretty much junk. So, but it's almost at the same challenge and like getting to that like level and being, I suppose, the competitiveness. Cause I always thought that I would only ever do bodybuilding, but then it's just that competitiveness and wanting to get to those different, I suppose, goals that you set for yourself. You know, okay, I want to win a pro card. Okay, I want to do this in a pro show. I want to eventually get to that level. And you sort of like, when you're able to go through the steps and achieve your goals, I think regardless of what it's in, it's going to make you, I suppose, happy and excited. And you can see that on your face, which is really, really cool.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And now I just have to reevaluate and set a whole new lot of goals to achieve and keep the smiles coming, because it just feels so good to have finally tick such a big goal off the list. And I hadn't set any goals past being an IFBB Pro because I thought that was so far in the future that was going to keep me busy for quite a while. So now I've got to really sit down and have a good think about what my next lot of goals are going to be. And like you said, what shows I'm going to do and how I want to be placing, and set goals so I know how I'm tracking. Eventually, who knows, get on the Olympia stage on points, on placing, however it happens. I'm just going to do whatever I can do to get on that stage. That'd be a big goal. That'd be a great one to tick off the list, get on the Olympia stage.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the goal for like anybody who starts training. They want to be on the Olympia stage, you know, like. And
you haven't had a dream of being in the Olympia, then what are you doing, mate? What are you looking for? That's the ultimate.
And man, like, because I've been to one of the Olympias to watch. I think it was 2014, where Kai Green like flicked his hair in a field space, and there's all that controversy and stuff at the press conference. And just being in that atmosphere, man, just walking around, and you'll see some of the pros walking around. We got the whole Olympia jackets on and everything like that, and you just think, I would love to be one of these competitors. Don't care what the division is. You'd love to just be a part of the weekend and not just be going there as a fan. So I guarantee if you go to an Olympia, man, before you compete at one, you'll be like itching even more to actually get on that stage. And
might have to do that today just to get a bit of fuel to the flame. Might have to go check it out, eh? Get over there, just have a watch first, eh?
Yeah, because Aaron Polite's our friend from Queensland, Australian 212 pro. I think his first Olympia that he went to, he's actually competing in. I'm like, whoa, that would be pretty. Yeah,
he never went to one before. He only ever went to one as a competitor, which is insane. His ascent to Olympia level pro was very, very fast. So he's an incredible bodybuilder and one to aspire to be like.
Absolutely,
he's an awesome pro.
Now, one thing that sort of, I suppose, stuck out to me, like when I started following you or whatever, you seem to be pretty open about, like, you know, weed. Like it's one of those things in bodybuilding, but I've discussed with you know, several IFBB Pro bodybuilders, Quentin Raya, Luke Sando when he was alive, a bunch of guys. And they all seem pretty open about it. I even spoke to Jay Cutler about it, and he says he's not too much of a recreational smoker, but he does, you know, run a cultivation business and all that sort of stuff. And there's a pretty strong stigma in Australia and through some parts of the world as well, still about weed, you know, that it's, you know, this evil thing. It used to be marketed as like something that was going to send you crazy and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. Now, from what I know from behind the scenes, from stories you hear, more IFBB pros than less IFBB pros seem to smoke weed, whether it's a thing they do at night before bed or just to get better sleep or relax or whatever. Because I think a lot of bodybuilders are pretty high strung by nature. I find that. I mean, I'm probably one of those people where I'm more of a stress head than not, and it is something that could be beneficial. So what's your thoughts on it? And I suppose what's your experience with it?
I introduced it into my bodybuilding like protocol, you would say, maybe 18 months ago. And before that, I was in that same boat of believing the stigmas and thinking weed's bad. It's under the same banner as all the other narcotic drugs and it's terrible. And if you smoke, it's going to be terrible for bodybuilding. And then you do start hearing about the other IFBB pros and you do start hearing about the research and start reading about the research and the benefits of the CBD and the THC as well. So I would say that it's helped me massively. I just think that I use it as a tool. I use it in small amounts. I'm not just smoking to get high. I do only use it as nighttime. I know a lot of guys do like to use it pre-train in a small dose. They say it helps them calm down and get into a zone and not be so distracted. I don't have a problem with focusing in the gym. So I think if I was to smoke before the gym, I'd feel weaker and maybe a little bit too lethargic because I'm more of a smoke to help sleep, rest, anti-inflame, recover. So that's more sort of my purpose of using it, just to de-stress, relax at nighttime, get the last meal in nice and comfortable and hit the sheets and get a good night's rest because when you sleep, you grow, bro.
Yeah, exactly. And it is one of those things that I think the negative side effects, it can have negative side effects if you're one of those people that just smokes all day and doesn't get anything done. And
that's all right. But we're bodybuilders. We live in an active lifestyle. We're getting out and about. We're lifting weight. We're eating clean foods for the most part. And we live in a relatively healthy lifestyle. And I find that the whole schizophrenia thing, like that's a predisposition thing anyway, that people who are going to get it anyway, it sort of is going to possibly bring it on even faster. So if it's going to happen, it's going to happen anyway. So I wouldn't really blame the weed for the schizophrenia because the schizophrenia is already laying in there dormant. So
yeah, no,
weed, essentially.
I totally agree, mate. And you think about the amount of people that actually do it low key as well, but you don't ever find out about. So I think it's cool that you're sort of open about it. You're not like saying, oh, everyone should do it or whatever, but it is something that can have benefits, clear benefits. I don't think it's a coincidence that so many IFBB pros and ones you don't even think would smoke weed definitely do it. So, I tell this story a fair bit. When I had glandular fever, I don't know if it was not last year, the year before. So it was sort of like mid 2019. I was incredibly sick. I had huge liver inflammation. I think the actual virus got into my liver and it caused whole body itchiness, like extreme itchiness, like to a level that you can't even explain. It was 24/7. Now, the only thing that stopped it was that. So I did that round the clock for months. And because I was sleeping 1 to 2 hours a night, I went to be sleeping, 5 to 6, you know what I mean? So it made a massive difference in my recovery. And without it, man, I probably would have had it for another few months. And it is something that's like debilitating to the point where you can't work. So that's when I sort of found out the real benefits. I'm like, wow, this thing can do stuff that the doctors are recommending, all these antihistamines and all this sort of stuff. And they did absolutely zero for me. And I ended up telling a doctor.
And with the liver being infected, with the liver being infected, potentially smashing all those different meds, that's just making your liver do more work than it needs to be doing when it should be recovering. So
exactly.
I don't think that smoking weed, the liver processes any of anything, only if you were to eat edibles. But if you're smoking, the liver's doing pretty much no work. So that would have been perfect for the liver to recover from the glandular fever as well, instead of smashing all these pills and antihistamines for the liver to process. No,
exactly.
Thanks.
And I don't know if it was the CBD portion of it, if it's the THC that actually, for whatever reason, but the itchiness, the first time I did it, because I got suggested it, why don't you smoke it away? I was like, look, I'll try anything. I was desperate. And I tried it and I was like, I don't have to itch my arms. I don't have to itch my legs. Because I lost 20 something kilos, looked like a drug addict, man. And I was on the couch just itching myself like pretty much all day. So it's like, went from that to being able to actually function. I'm like, this stuff, I'm like, yeah, a massive fan of it. But anyway.
For me starting, I started, sorry to cut you off, but I started smoking because I was having poor sleep. I was getting not many hours a night just because I'm a bit of an overthinker, you know. And in the preps, I was getting a bit too just crazy with my thoughts and thinking about food and not being able to sleep because I'm so hungry, you know. So like you, I got suggested, why don't you try smoking a bit of weed, you know, just a little bit. It's not going to affect you too bad. I thought, why not? You know, I am really tired. It's affecting the whole prep that I'm doing. So I'm losing sleep, and then I'm expected to still wake up and do cardio, and it's sort of burning the candle at both ends after we're going to work for the day. So smoked a bit of weed, massive change straight away. I haven't taken it out. I haven't gone a day without smoking a joint, at least at the end of the day. Since then, I have not gone a day without.
Yeah. And I just want to say to people out there as well, this is sort of for entertainment purposes only, sort of need to legally say that, and we don't condone any of this use and stuff because I don't want to get sued. But, you know, it is something that, you know, I don't recommend people say, hey, everyone should go out there and smoke weed. But for certain people, there may be some sort of benefits, definitely. But, mate, I'm very excited to see you make your pro debut at some point. You're another pro bodybuilder out there that I'm, you know, I'm a big fan of your physique. I think I told you that when we first started chatting or whatever. Can't wait to see you up there on a pro stage, man. And hopefully I'm able to be there at the Arnold Classic Australia or whatever that contest is going to be within Australia where you make your pro debut. So that's Brad Dwight, newest IFBB Pro in Australia. For Xavier Wills and Brad Dwight, we are out.